In the presence of Titans. Well, more like hanging out with Titans. Nice Titans. Good people. Okay, welcome everybody to the first episode ever of Hanging Out with Titans. I put some nice retro kitten movie in the background because this is gonna be like a radio type of thing. So the visuals are not so heavy. I'm reading you people in the chat.
I think I can guess.
We have Mexie with us tonight. Mexie, welcome so much to
Thank
this
you.
humble. Buenas tardes, says Boob Dragon. And
Buenas tardes.
there you go.
Let's see.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
It's so good to have you. For me, you know, the concept of the show. Let me explain a little bit, and now we can, we can relax. The idea is, for this not to be like a panel of important stuff. We're gonna have breakfast first. We're gonna hang out. The idea is I bring people to the show who I really respect, who I really value, who I think are absolute titans. That's why the title. People who I know are guaranteed absolute wonderful people, and so I think everybody is gonna know you in this thing. So we're gonna just get it out of the way. You make the amazing Vegan Vanguard podcast alongside with Marine, who hasn't been in. I think it's like the Surfs.
Been on the show for a while.
It's like the Surfs. It's like who's Dave?
Mother cat.
I know. Oh, she's been so busy. She's got a really cool project going on, and eventually she's going to come on and talk about it. But yeah, anyway.
So
yeah,
good.
she hasn't been on the show in a while.
So good. Looking forward to it. I mean, I really missed her channel. The Privileged Vegan was really good stuff.
I know, it was so good. I sometimes when I'm looking up stuff, like I'm doing this thing for like the professor I'm working with, and I'm looking for educational videos on different topics, and whenever I search anything in, like, one of her videos will always pop up because she has really good stuff on a lot of really important topics, and I'm just like, oh man, Maureen, we miss you out here.
Yeah, definitely. But she's doing good. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have an awesome YouTube channel that makes like the best videos ever. And we're so grateful for it, and you bring the positive leftist news, which is a glimmer of hope.
Yeah,
that was such a good idea.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm just so honored. I obviously respect you so much. I value you so much. So I'm just honestly just really honored that you wanted to bring me on as one of the Titans. Like, I love that.
Yeah,
it's so amazing.
The first Titan of the show, absolutely.
The first Titan. That's such an honor. Thank you so much.
Titan.
It's amazing.
So good.
But yeah, I love doing the positive leftist news. It's just a reminder for anyone in the chat, if you have any positive leftist news, please email it to me, or you can @ me on Twitter. But I'm really trying to be off Twitter as much as possible these days. So it takes me a while to.
Yeah, EJ American Johnson quit Twitter not long ago too. Like,
oh, he did?
Yeah, it's like, I can't take this anymore.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even know that. I guess because I also quit Twitter, so I wasn't really looking. But yeah, I'm thinking about just inviting people that I want to stay in contact with, onto the Discord, or just moving over to like Signal or something else, and then just getting off there altogether.
Yeah. Because you're running also co-hosting with Catherine and with Matt Blender, the amazing Total Liberation Discord channel.
Yeah. We actually have later today. We have our next Discord call. We have those twice per month, and today we're talking about anti-Asian racism and kind of holding space for that, and talking about how to address it and things like that. And yeah, it's a really great community. You're there.
I am there. I'm not on Discord a lot because it gives me a little bit of anxiety. But
yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, indeed. But I think your server is very positive, very good, very welcoming.
Yeah, I really like the community. It's really great. And I'm not on there too often either in terms of like typing, I'm not really able, with my chronic illness to be on screens that much. And Discord is just all about just, a constant wall of text, all these different channels, text going everywhere. You really have to be on the screen and kind of commit to that. And I find that difficult to do. But I am there with my voice once every 2 weeks for like a community call. So yeah, it's pretty fun. That's kind of how I did the workaround, because I was like, yeah, I also cannot be on the screen that much or be on Discord that much because it is kind of overwhelming.
And even like that, you have so much going on.
Yeah, there's so much going on, and then I'm part of like a million different servers too, but I don't have the spoons to go and look at what's going on in all of those servers. And even if I went in, there would be so much to catch up on all the different channels and everything. So it definitely is a lot, but yeah, I have fun with like the voice calls.
One of the things that really gets me off my nerves is when people get into the at everyone. And then you get a ton of red dots over there, and it's like, I can't take this. It's overwhelming.
Well, I'm sorry, because I definitely add to that on our server, because I always announce when the calls are at everyone, and I ask everyone for input into the topics of the calls.
Absolutely,
so.
But that's kind of the point. But when everybody's doing it, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens a lot. But you gotta manually, one server at a time, block the add everyone and add here notifications.
Oh really? I just kind of ignore all the other servers notifications, unless it's like my friend's server that and they have something planned or whatever. But
yeah, and don't even try the cell phone app. That's absolutely.
Oh yeah, no.
That's ridiculous. The amount of vibration thing. I don't have it with sound. It's got to be a lot of ping, 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 or whatever. But
yeah, definitely not. It's too much. It's too much. I feel so old half the time because I'm like, I cannot keep up with all this,
Yeah, but, of course, because the 14-year-olds are gonna go for something new next time, and it's gonna be a new technology, and we gotta have to install it.
Now it's TikTok. Now everyone's like, Mexie, you gotta get on TikTok. You gotta make videos on TikTok because that's where all the kids are. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta get on there. But I'm like, I can barely keep up. I'm thinking of actually, like, I definitely want to move off Twitter. I definitely want to. I don't know about Facebook. Honestly, I don't know if I really want to stay there either. I might just do Instagram and then maybe go on TikTok.
The thing is, I don't get TikTok either. Like it's like very short videos with prefixed music that you only you can use that type of music, which is super pew 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 pew, and go like,
Well, you can use any music you want, I think.
But you gotta have it on your cell phone.
Yeah, you gotta have it on your cell phone.
It's not my workflow.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. I think because I've seen some pretty cool or good videos on there, or I follow a lot of activists on Instagram that will share their TikToks on Instagram. And some people are doing some really cool stuff with it, and because it is short, I think it's really digestible. Compared to like a 20 or 30 minute YouTube video. So I think it could be useful if I could make some really short and sweet and to the point, like just little political clips, right? That would be really consumable and shareable. But I don't know. Yeah, that's just, it's more work.
Yeah, I could read my tweets out loud. It's like TikTok just for me. It's like a permanent selfie. It's on selfie mode all the time with the phone. And it's like so overwhelming. But kids like it, I guess.
Yeah, kids. Yeah.
You've also hung out with some absolute titans that I know of, like Professor Wolf and
and
Abby Martin, who is like, wow, amazing.
Yeah, I know, I love Abby Martin. Whenever I bring her on, I always get so much, not so much, but I have, even when I brought Professor Wolf on, like I'll just get people in my comments and my DMs being like, why would you bring Professor Wolf on? Like, he's a tanky. I was like, what? There's what?
But he's so reasonable. He's so patient.
Yeah, he is so personable. He's so patient. And I'm like, I think the only thing, like, I'm like, maybe he's been fairly generous in his appraisal of like China's economy or something, but I would hardly call him a tanky. I mean, he's advocating for worker cooperatives, and to me, what seems like maybe market socialism as kind of a transitionary phase. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's just wild. But I mean, I respect Abby Martin a lot as well. I know she's a bit controversial because people will say that, you know, she goes too hard. But, like, she's very, very focused on being anti-US imperialist.
Which,
duh. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So to me, I don't know. Yeah, she's amazing. She's always been an inspiration to me. Like, her energy is just unmatched. You know, like
definitely.
She's such a force. And yeah, like her way back when on Breaking the Set was so powerful. So
yeah, I remember tuning in to Breaking the Set like for the first time ever and going like, who is this?
Yeah. Yeah, just so powerful. So yeah, that was really great. And I have some ideas for some cool guests that I'm hoping to get on in the future. Oh, I will share. I reached out because I really wanted to get Robin Wall Kimmerer on the show. Obviously, Braiding Sweetgrass is something that I always talk about and recommend everybody read. But she's so busy. I was just looking at her website, and she's doing, you know, speaking engagements just left, right, and center. And so I reached out to her agent. But she said she's not taking interview requests right now because she has so many like academic speaking engagements. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
It's got to be like Amy Goodman. She seems to be losing her voice lately, like from so much, you know, going on all the time. It's
wow.
It's a terrible grind, isn't it? Like
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I have some other really cool ideas for people that I want to have on. I just, the last few months have been so ridiculous for me with work, but luckily, the course I'm teaching is wrapping up this month, and I'm going to have a bit of a break in this, like for a couple months in the summer. And so, I'm hoping I can turn my attention then to the content that I want to make and the people that I want to get on, because I want to bring some people on, but I want to read their books first. Like, I'm thinking there's this really amazing Indigenous activist and scholar, Pam Palmater, who just put out a new book called The Warrior Life. And so I want to have her on, but I want to read the book. I'm hoping I can leverage the connection with Prof. Wolf to get David Harvey on the show. I'm really hoping I can do that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because I'm a geographer, I guess, by training. And you know, he's just so influential in that field. And but anyway, I want to read his latest book before I do that. So I gotta push aside all this other work that I'm doing so I can pursue this stuff, which I'm really passionate about. But yeah.
So, I mean, play the long game, you know, take it easy.
Play the long game. Yeah,
you know.
It's just hard, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you feel this or whatever, but it's hard when I have like creative inspiration for something and I feel really passionately about getting it out. It's just really, really difficult when I don't have time to work on that and I have to just kind of shut down all of that energy and excitement and inspiration inside of me and just kind of focus on my day-to-day jobs and tasks. It's just such a terrible feeling when you just like have this creative, I don't know, spark, but you have to just suppress it. Because then, and it's just capitalism, right? And then when you actually feel when you actually get the time to work on it, then it's also kind of the opposite problem, because you're like, okay, well now I have a few hours, like let's work on this thing now. But at that time, it's really hard to just force creativity within the time constraints that you have under capitalism, right? So yeah,
absolutely,
it's a constant struggle. I hate it.
we do. yeah, it is terrible. Like when you feel, it sometimes happens. It happens to me a lot when I'm somewhere taking a walk, whatever, and I have this great idea for a song or something. It sounds in my head completely finished and wonderful. By the time I get to the place where I'm, home with a computer, or I can catch a guitar and get the chords or whatever, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's definitely like that. But yeah, it's just, it's okay, I only have this amount of time to be creative, but during the rest of my life, I'm having all this inspiration that I can't follow through on. And then during the time that I have to be creative, it becomes a chore then, because you're just like, well, now I'm just trying to force it because I have to fit it into these few hours, But anyway, that's why I'm really excited for the summer, because I want to read again. I haven't read anything in so long, because I've just been so busy with work. But yeah, what are you reading lately?
I'm doing this reading of The Ecology of Freedom that I'm reading out loud for people, and at the same time, I'm trying to read Carlos Taibo's Iberia Vaciada in Spanish. It's The Empty Iberia, about how people have left, little towns and the rural environment to go to the cities over time, and then that the decrease in population creates a few demographic specific things that that eventually there's also the subject of the collapse. Carlos Taibo is amazing. He's like an anarchist professor. He's Spanish. And one of the things, I think I did one stream once where I was translating Carlos Taibo, one of his speeches, like live on Twitch. So I was stopping it and saying, okay, now he's saying this. Keep it right.
That's awesome.
Oh my, it was very exhausting, but totally worth it.
That's awesome. So is that like about people moving from the countryside to the cities? Is he talking specifically to Spain, or is that global, like a global analysis?
He's talking about Spain and Portugal as a concrete analysis, but it's very easy to extrapolate to other countries actually, because of how but what he's trying to do is analyze the phenomenon and try to oppose it to his theory of the collapse, and how all the way as we know it right now, the capitalism, our technology and everything is gonna collapse because of lack of resources, because of all of the problems that capitalism has, and it's gonna be so how to face the collapse? It's by doing actual degrowth and relearning how to live smaller. How to live in those, and how these rural communities and those environments that have been lost to the population hold a lot of keys on how to survive the collapse. It is,
yeah, absolutely.
It is very interesting.
That sounds really good. Well, before September, when September started, I was just drowning. But before that, I was learning Spanish and doing pretty well. And I know that you have a lot of lessons up that are very useful as well. So maybe if I can get my reading comprehension up, I could read that, because I assume it's only in Spanish. But yeah, that sounds really good.
Referring to the creative things that you mentioned before and your Spanish learning and everything else, anything I can help, I will help. Just, awesome. You got all my help. Anything I can do to help, I'll help.
Amazing.
You.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, no problem.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm wondering, like, just kind of on that note, like this idea of everyone moving from the countryside to the city is something that we've been seeing forever, since primitive accumulation started. But is it the same in Spain as it is here, where now because of the pandemic, everyone is moving out of the city into really small rural communities, especially millennials, because they can't afford to be in the city, but B, if they have jobs that they can do remotely, they don't, like they're going places that are more affordable, which is really like small rural areas.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. I mean, everyone, I thought about it myself. Like if I had this opportunity to get a job remotely where I could work from home, and I was like, I'm gonna go to this village in the middle of nowhere and breathe the good air and have good life quality and be one, because one of the things that I always my mind always wants to go out to the mountain or the forest or whatever, just go walk and get on the top of the mountain and stay there like
yeah. Yeah.
And I used to live more or less near a mountain a while ago when I was living here in Madrid before I migrated to Poland and then migrated again to Norway. And I could get out of the house and go to the mountain, and that was amazing.
That's so amazing.
I used it as much as I could, and in the summer is like the best.
Yeah. I like when I was doing my research for my PhD, I was in Jasper National Park, which is in Alberta in the Rocky Mountains in Canada. And it was amazing to be there and just hiking all the time or just kind of relaxing at the lakes, like around the mountains. Like I miss it so much. I mean, there's no mountains anywhere in Ontario, but at least there's a lot of really, really beautiful, I guess like quote unquote cottage country or, forested areas, really just amazing places. And all summer I'm just every weekend I'm out camping. Like I'm just always getting out, like into the forest somewhere to camp. And, I love it. And it's just, it's completely unaffordable. But the thing is that now, it's completely unaffordable in the city, but now because of this exodus, it's also driving up housing and rental prices, all basically are out around kind of like there's this big sprawl, what we call the Greater Toronto area. And then even beyond that, the prices are all going up. So I'm like, oh God.
It's like people in the city, people from the cities gentrifying the little villages, right?
Exactly.
That sucks.
Exactly. It sucks. Yeah.
It's not like, what we thought.
There's yeah. Well, I mean, like, I guess I thought that, like, I mean, I guess I did think that would happen, right? Like, if that's what everyone is doing, especially because there's so many people who live in the city. So if they start going out and just, increasing the suburban and rural sprawl, then that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, anyway, it's just interesting to think about, I guess, what that's going to do to, like, I call it like the spatialities of capitalism, but yeah, just kind of interesting to see like what that'll do to our landscape.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a step in the right direction in a way that, all these places would have to are more self-reliant, and their economies are much more local than the cities, which have more global economies. So they're gonna. I mean, the idea is to not just to live in those places per se, but actually adopting a lifestyle that includes the growth. Right. What Taibo says is something like you gotta degrow. So you gotta make life way more simple, but also rescue whatever was good from before or from the collapsing lifestyle that we have right now, and rescue the good ideas and detechnologize in a way that not that we have less technology per se, but just reorient the technology in a way that serves less capitalist modes of being, and reimagine that technology to make it, more respectful to the both the environment and the people,
Yeah, reimagine our relationship to it. and our relationship to each other and the land and stuff. Yeah, that's all awesome. I was actually talking to Tristan about this recently, and he was saying that, I can't remember what author, but they were saying that, because I agree, right? Like I think that is a positive thing. And, my partner and I are going to move out of the city, probably not like very rural, but at least somewhere more affordable and a little bit quieter and greener, where we could start to do some of those things. But yeah, he was saying that, and this makes sense too, obviously, that there could be a big kind of class characteristic to it, where people who don't have remote jobs, maybe essential workers or things like that, wouldn't necessarily be able to move out. And so there would be kind of like this exodus of the people who can, but then the people who can't are kind of left in this like dilapidated city that is kind of collapsing. But then I was like, there's so many ways to reclaim that space too, though, and then do kind of like a solar punk kind of a visionary thing, where you kind of reclaim a lot of urban space and turn that into different kinds of urban gardens, or like different kinds of like vertical farming and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of fascinated by it, because I think it's a really interesting time to be alive right now, like especially after the pandemic and how that's changing a lot of the way that we're going to live, and then like all the crises of capitalism kind of coming to a head at once. What a time to be alive.
Indeed. It's like, finally we're not the only ones who are imagining another way of living. There's other people too.
I know. No, it's like, it's definitely, I don't know. I think a lot of things are gonna shift in the next like several decades. So it's gonna be pretty wild. But anyway, I just hope that we're able to go and that the prices aren't going to be too high by the time that we try.
Definitely. That other people haven't gentrified the little villages.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't even know what's it gonna be, when I get a job or something and make it happen. I don't know. So far, unemployed, depressed, it's fine. I'm off the hook for now.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, it's a silver lining, I suppose.
Did you say you said you were unemployed?
Yeah, unemployed and depressed. It's the two conditions that master my life right now. I'm gonna get therapy soon, hopefully. It's gonna.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I just set the thing in motion. It takes a while, even when I'm on a preferential schedule, but still it's gonna take a while, So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm really glad that you'll be able to access it. Does Spain cover it, or?
Yeah,
because here it's very expensive.
No, it's Social Security. You can go private and it's faster, but you wait, but you get. I'm gonna probably get a psychiatrist who's gonna, go like, hey, there you go some pills, get the fuck out of here. But whatever helps, and I'm gonna try to be very disciplined. And summer is almost around the corner, so I expect a lot of walks in the forest.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah
do you get a choice if you have a psychiatrist or psychologist, or they just give it to you?
Yeah, I think psychiatrist is by default in Social Security, because we don't have that. There aren't so many psychologists in Social Security, and they're for very special cases. So let's see how it goes. I'm gonna try to navigate the system the best I can, and if for whatever reason this doesn't work so well, we'll try another strategy. But I haven't been putting it off for so long, the getting professional help. I always was of the idea that I could claw myself out of this, but there's no way. There's no way, fam. It's not gonna happen.
Oh no, definitely not. Yeah, I was. I definitely needed therapy to get myself out of some pretty dark places. So I just don't think that that's something that people should expect that they can do by themselves. And yeah, I'm actually still on medication. It's fairly mild now, but I'm on antidepressants. and they've been really helpful. But yeah, it's been really invaluable, really just having my therapist, although I haven't been able to see her in like 2 years because I don't have benefits anymore, and it's way too expensive to go. So yeah, it sucks. And I know that there's like free versions, like there's, you know, I think BetterHelp and other things that you can go and get really cheap versions. I don't know if you've explored that. Like there's definitely, I guess, services where you can have either cheap or free therapy. But for me, it took a long time. Like it's really important to get the right fit when you have a therapist. And that's something that people don't really talk about. It's kind of just like, oh, just get therapy. But like I went through several different therapists before landing on the one that I have now. And yeah, if they're not a good fit, it can be actually detrimental, I think, or just not helpful in general. And you can spend a lot of money on things that just aren't really working. So, I don't know. It took a long time for me to like get really comfortable with this person. So I don't really want to like try to get a different one. So hopefully at some point I get my benefits back and I can go back. But,
yeah, I mean, on a good time, you seem to be very awesome anyway. So, you know, and it's very hopeful for everybody, you know, that even absolute titans, magnificent people like you know, need to be. Everybody needs therapy. It's a fucked up world.
Everybody needs it.
It's a fucked up world. It's a human grinder where we're living right now.
Absolutely. Well, you're a titan too, Javi. So
thank you. You're generous. You're very generous.
Come on. Yeah, like honestly, I think everyone needs it. But yeah, I hope you're doing all right, and definitely reach out if you ever like want to talk about anything or need anything. 'Cause yeah, I may not seem like it. Like I don't really share a lot online, but I've definitely like been through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it.
Thank you. You rock. You rock so much. You're awesome.
Oh, you rock.
We're fine people.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you're gonna get some support. At least that's good.
Yeah, one thing at a time. You know, I always say like in the Mexican Spanish, de a poquitos, like little by little, little by little.
Yeah, absolutely.
I miss my Mexican people. I used to when I lived in Oslo, I used to play, you know, we played in every Dia de los Muertos and every Dia del Grito and everywhere, you know, with Mexican friends. And they called me the 99.9% Mexican. They're
so cool.
Fine musicians, good people, and absolute Mexican glorious people who I miss a lot. You know, but, you know, my life went to shit and I went to shit with right behind it. Like, oh, bump. But it's fine. We're clawing ourselves out of it. You know, making more music and everything. Honorary Mexican, says Randy's here in the chat. By the way, I'm gonna address the people in the chat. I'm reading you all, but I'm paying attention to an absolute titan who is on the call with us. even when we're probably both in our pajamas, just imagine us.
We definitely are
having hot cocoa with what's your favorite non-dairy milk? Mine is oat, but
yeah, mine too. So I never really felt like, I don't know, oat isn't as common here, and so I only tried it very recently, and I just absolutely loved it. Before that, it was soy, even though like I try not to have too much soy because of my thyroid, but yeah, oat is great. Really
I love oat, and there's this Swedish brand here in Europe that is going all over, and they're really good, and you know, it's my go-to. It's great, oat. But yeah, any non-dairy milk is good actually. Every non-dairy milk has its uses. I found this hazelnut.
Oh.
Which is very good for sweet stuff. Like if you make yourself a hot cocoa, you make it with hazelnut and it's...
Oh. That sounds really good. I've never had that.
Maybe not the best for coffee, but for a hot cocoa or something like that, or hot chocolate, where you make it like with 100% cocoa in powder, and you make it with, that's the best.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, it's just difficult because I think at the grocery stores here, like I don't even really see oat very much. I'll have to look for it more. I've only really gotten it when I've been out like to get like a tea or something at like a coffee shop, and they'll have oat milk, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But I'll have to look for it more. Hopefully we get more.
Yeah, I remember when I used to live in Norway. We drove to Sweden to get more vegan stuff, different things, because the thing is, in Norway, for instance, the one of the problems that Norway has, which are many, is the food distribution thing. It's like two companies and they both distribute the same products, so there's not a lot of variety. So we lived Oslo is very close to the border with Sweden, and there are some shopping malls that are strategically placed so Norwegians can go shopping, what they call the Harry handle, the Harry shopping, because being a Harry is like being like a hillbilly. And they go to buy booze and tobacco because the tax is lower there, so they buy a lot of that stuff. But we went for the vegan food. We went for
Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of like the Canada-US border, where people will go and do that. But I don't know for vegan food, but that's awesome. So you lived in Oslo?
I used to live in Oslo, for about 5 years.
Cool. I visited Norway. I guess it was a couple years ago now because the pandemic was last year. Yeah, I guess it was several years ago now. But yeah, there was a conference there, an academic conference that I went to. So yeah, I visited Oslo. There's a lot of really cool, like anarchist and communist, like graffiti and signs, and seemed like some pretty cool stuff, and like anti-fascist stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple of squat houses that are very prominent. Yeah, the Blitz is one of them. I played in Blitz several times. Really nice people, cool people. One of the things that put me off of Blitz is that they allow people to smoke inside, so you go back home stinking a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it looked really cool. I was like, oh man, you would not see this on the streets of Toronto. Although I guess there is increasingly that kind of stuff being visible around here too. But I
remember going to demonstrations to counter protest for. There was like a couple of fascist parties that wanted to capitalize on the Muslims are evil, same old. And it was like 3 of them, and it was like 40 of us screaming at them in Norwegian. You failed this! There's nobody there! Nice. And they were trying to speak on the speakers, and we shouted at the speakers back, off the top of our lungs. Damn. It was exhausting. At minus 10 degrees centigrade. So.
Oh, yeah. Damn. Yeah, I mean, that's like before COVID, we were definitely out doing that against like Pegida and different kind of fascist people here as well, and definitely in like -10, like over the winter it would just be freezing. But they've kind of just like a lot of them have kind of stopped coming out, which is really great. And then the pandemic hit, so
Doxed.
Oh, they got my partner just said they got doxed, which is great. So now they don't come out. Yeah. Yeah. So that's been, it's been good. It's been good.
That's so good.
But yeah, Norway is beautiful. I enjoyed being there. I went up to Bergen and a bit in the north as well, but
Bergen. They have the ra thing going on. Bergen. Yeah, they're like the poshy town of Norway. They're like where the richest people live.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the crusty, funny fisherman's or fisher people's town in Norway is Trondheim, probably. Which is funny. I used to hang out with Marxist-Leninist people there, and they're really nice people. Really nice people. One of the things that, always worried me a little bit, it was they were insisting on building mass movements, but there also was like 10 or 15 of us all the time, and it was like, come on. But
yeah,
how it is.
Well, I guess the population there isn't that big.
Yeah, and people are very used to be isolated. Those northern cultures are not like so collective as the southern cultures. That's one of the things that I've been learning. More or less the same in Poland, but in Poland people tend to gather more. But because I used to live in Kraków as well, beautiful city, by the way.
Oh. Yeah. I've never been there. Yeah, nice.
It's absolutely beautiful. And mostly in the summer. Don't go in the winter because the air, you can cut it with a knife. It's very thick. It's very polluted.
Well, I think, I don't know if we would go there. My partner's Jewish, and I think that there's a lot of anti-Semitic action going on there.
I mean, right Kraków has its own Jewish quarters, Kazimierz, which is there's Kraków, the big cities more or less are okay. Kraków and Warszawa, they're fine. It's more on the smaller towns, when they go all crazy and stuff. But sorry about the word, but they go all overboard with the nonsense. But I think Kraków is a very progressive city for Poland.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, cool. It's not that bad. I was living there 2.5 years, and I had only one attack. I was talking in English with a friend. I was saying goodbye, and I was walking down, and some guy followed me and saying, speak Polish, foreigners, you take our jobs, and I had a little bit of a scare there. But I don't. It's been 2 years, being an absolute show off there, and so not bad for statistics.
Yeah, well, that's good. So, did you learn to speak Polish and Norwegian and
yes,
whatnot? Or you
a little bit? I mean, Polish was way harder than Norwegian, but I learned enough to entertain a taxi driver and talking about the weather. No to dobra pogoda. Yeah, polski jest very trudny język, ale spróbujemy. We're trying to learn Polish, and Norwegian is much easier than Polish.
Really?
But phonetics are a little bit tricky because they tend to mumble a lot. So there's a Norwegian coming at you and go like, what? But if you make them articulate, you kind of understand. But as a language, like a written language, is super easy to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, Polish is much harder because they have declinations and all the difficult stuff.
Yeah, I know English and French. I learned a bunch of Thai because I did research there and was there for a while. And yeah, so my goal is to learn Spanish because I understand it pretty much. I can understand a lot of it already, and it's kind of similar to French. And then Italian, because my mom's side of the family is Italian, and well, we were about to get our Italian passports, like our Italian citizenship, like our dual citizenship, before COVID hit, but then they just stopped processing everything. So we'll see, I guess, when that happens. We'll see if it starts up again or whatever. But yeah, that was the goal. But I love languages. I love learning languages. I love the idea of like being a polyglot.
It's amazing. I think it opens up your understanding of the world. It's like you approach the same abstract ideas from many different angles, and that makes you widen your understanding of the world, or the way I see it, speaking different languages.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like it definitely does something. And it's just, it's really interesting how much language is tied to like our thoughts and behavior, in ways that you probably don't really realize. I guess I'm learning from a lot of indigenous comrades about the differences between their different indigenous languages and English, and how how the structure of the language itself can inform values and inform behaviors and inform just how you move through the world. And Robert Merle Kimmerer talks about this too, about like the language of animacy, where like in her language, Potawatomi, everything is alive, right? Everything is animate, and the language is like 70% verbs versus nouns, and English is the opposite. It's like it's mostly nouns and everything is inanimate. And then that affects the way that you see the world and the way that you treat it, right? So she talks about trees, like if a tree is an it versus a tree being an animate living like her or something, then it affects the way that you think about that being, and then the way that you act towards it. And I just thought that was so interesting. And I know there's been a lot done on that, but I'd like to like learn more about that, about how language actually structures how you see the world. So yeah, I completely agree. Like learning different languages, I think, can really open people up a lot.
So you're so right. Everything you just said, it's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. Amazing. Yes. And if you need anything, with the Spanish, you can text me or call me any day or night. Oh, how you say this in Spanish? And I go like,
Awesome. Yeah, I was just using the Duolingo app before to learn it, which was going all right. But yeah.
You can always use my lesson. They're a little bit time consuming because I beat around the bush a lot. I'm not a very good teacher. But I got like from the alphabet up, we're trying to build up. I'll try to make more lessons soon. But you can call me anytime and say, yo, Javi, what's this in Spanish? And I can explain. Yeah. No problem.
Awesome. Thank you, Javi.
No problem. Annie, I'm glad to be of service. I'm always like that Zoidberg meme from Futurama, where they where the robots take over and everything, and it's the apocalypse, and everybody's like, the old technology has revealed, and they don't have a can opener, and they go to Zoidberg and he opens with his clips, and he says, "Here I am, useful." That's my awesome meme all the time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's like I really need to feel useful, and for people who I respect, admire, and I don't think we've ever talked with a conversation thing before, right?
You mean like on a stream or
off stream? We've been on panels or anything. Yeah, I don't think we've ever. Like I heard you talk a lot. You probably heard me talk a lot, but we never talked to each other. Right?
I was on your Socialist Sunday stream one time.
Yeah, but it was many of us, and it was long ago.
Yeah. True.
So cool. I'm very happy to hang out with you like this, because texting and everything is fine, but talking, it's way better.
I know, it is way better. I know, that's the thing about meeting all these amazing people online, is that I'm always wishing that we all lived closer to each other and we could actually just hang out and like start our own community,
Somebody's got to abandon a small country somewhere, and we can all move.
Yeah, absolutely.
If all land wouldn't be already taken, and our land would be like free, nobody would own anything like the land. We will have all personal property, and would be hanging out all the time. The weather would be nice. Let's have somewhere in the south, please.
Yeah, exactly. No, that would be so good. Yeah, I remember I was bummed because I think I had another conference that I was supposed to go to in, I think it was the UK, but COVID hit, and then I couldn't go, and I was bummed because I was like, oh, I could have like come, and I guess that's a bit far for you, but I was like, oh, I could see Catherine and and like, other people who are in Europe and stuff, but didn't happen. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to have Catherine here too. She's an absolute titan as well. And I know her personally. She was in Madrid one time and I showed her around. We've been hanging
that's so
out.
Cool.
Yeah, she's the best. She's absolute. She's the best.
Yeah, she's so great. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the best people I know probably online, because I know her in real life and I'm biased.
No, but she's so she's so genuine, and honest, and like true to her values, and humble, and care. Like, you can really tell that she comes to her leftism through like a deep love of other people and the planet, and compassion and empathy and stuff like that. It's so wonderful. And her latest video is so powerful. On prison abolition and her experience as a survivor. That was just so incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I helped edit that one.
Yeah.
I cut that one to put some original music there on the background. All the titles that were like,
yeah. Yeah, good job. That was so amazing.
Thank you so much.
I thought it was so good. Yeah.
I'm trying to double down into these soundtrack thing. I've done a couple of soundtracks already. One for a documentary. You could see it, but I don't think it's international. Maybe if you have like Amazon Prime or something, maybe if you use a VPN and pretend that you're in Spain, you can watch it. But I don't know if there are English subtitles. It's only in Spanish. It's called Sesión Salvaje. It's a documentary about Spanish movies, like exploitation movies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So it goes through several genres. We had like a genre called cine kinky, and it was like a gangster exploitation from youth. What do they call juvenile delinquents?
Oh yeah.
So we had basically 14-year-olds stealing cars and shooting heroin, And it was very absurd situation back in the 80s, and they became very popular. And these kids, I remember back in the 80s, and I think one of the interviewees says something along those lines too. Like back in the 80s in Madrid or anywhere in Spain, you could go around a corner and some enthusiast of juvenile delinquents would catch up to you with a blade knife and rob you, basically.
Okay.
Just because it was like a lifestyle. Yeah, it was dangerous. It was a very free but very dangerous time, the 80s in Spain.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I made like a whole soundtrack that was like going through genre. So the main theme is like a 60s crooner. Like very like this, and with an orchestra in the background, but also drum set and guitar and bass, and the bass like plucked like the tang tang. That sounds like very twangy. It was so much fun. And then I made like a free jazz type of song that was very difficult because two of the instruments, the drums and the piano, were virtual, so I had to program them, but I had to program them in a way that would look like improvised.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very, very draining. I could work on it like for a couple of hours at a time and then take the rest of the day off and wait till the next day and continue, review what I had and continue. It was very difficult. And there was a live instrument, which was the double bass. That was wow. And wow. Yeah, it was very difficult. And I made like a short also recently in which I did another 60s, but the hippie type. That was so much fun.
Oh, yeah. That's so cool.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to try and, get some work around music, making music for TV or media or whatever, and soundtracks or whatever. Hopefully I'm going to get another gig soon.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be a documentary as well, but a historical documentary. That's as much as I can say, I guess. It's in the making.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that sounds like really fun. Like, even though it's obviously sounds really intense and draining, it also sounds really fun, I guess, to be able to just put your creativity into this thing. And yeah, that sounds amazing.
It's really cool. It is a
Yeah.
lot of work, but it's the kind of work I want to do, you know?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And at the same time, when you were talking about creativity before, and I was thinking, like, for me, one of the things that work for forcing yourself to be creative is to get
Hmm.
bored.
To get bored.
Yeah, it's like you empty your mind and you're so
Yeah.
bored and it sucks so much that your brain goes like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna make something up, and then bam,
Yeah.
creative.
No, I completely agree, but I think that's why I've been so frustrated lately because usually I have more time to sit around and get bored, and to kind of like just be quiet with myself and kind of like get back in touch with myself and my thoughts and make my creativity. And I feel like I've just been so kind of forcefully removed from all of that for the past, well, it's been like a 2-year postdoc, but the really extreme amount of work has been in these kind of like 8-month um, periods between September and May, because that's when I also have a lecturing job on top of my other job, and content. Um, so yeah, I feel like I'm because I'm so busy, like, and I'm so strained in my daily job, and it's so taxing on my health. Like by the time it becomes like evening, I'm usually so spent or drained that it's like I'm bored, but I don't like my mind is not working. I'm having a lot of brain fog, or I'm having a migraine or something like that. Something that's really not conducive to being creative. And so yeah, I feel like I just haven't had any of that time, that open time and space to just like be with myself, be with my thoughts. Yeah, like you said, get bored and then get creative. And so it gets really frustrating because then sometimes something will spark inside of me randomly, but it'll be kind of like during the day, and I'll be so excited about an idea, but I'll be like, oh, I gotta just do this work, so I can't. And then later when it's like I do have time, it's difficult then to force myself. So that's why I'm really excited for the summer, because I feel like I'll finally have time to be creative again. And I just, yeah, I just hate how capitalism, I was just thinking about that because I'm like, I'm not the only one that's being forced um, to work more than their body can handle. And I just think about like, I guess there's that kind of cliched line. I can't remember who said it, but about like, I'm not concerned with Einstein, how Einstein's brain worked. I'm concerned with like all the people that have equal or better talents than him that are stuck like working in sweatshops and whatever. But yeah, it's true. It's like there's probably so many people who are, yeah, just being forced to work more than their bodies can handle and not being allowed to have that time and space to just be bored and to be with themselves and to have creativity strike them, and then to be able to follow through on that creativity when it strikes them. And that I just think like that's one of like, obviously there's more directly criminal things that capitalism does to us, but I just find that to be so egregious. Like one of like, and it's something that people don't really think about or whatever, but it's like, no, that is really how it robs us of our creativity and our spark as people and as creators and as activists and things like that. And it just like reduces us to these puddles that just have to like dissociate to get through the day, and then just end up like, again, I guess dissociating in the evening because you're just too exhausted or in pain or whatever. So
Yeah, it
like
sucks that it's so
it's
draining.
criminal.
It,
Yeah.
and then it's like should be something that activates you, that makes you feel better. It's not a
Yeah.
grind that drains you and drains your soul and makes it empty.
Hmm.
I think I wrote a
Yeah.
song about that actually. It's something like "Don't nag me, I am too drained. I am too drained. I
Mm.
spent way too long in a something like in a train or something like that, because it rhymed. It sucks. I hate
Yeah.
writing lyrics. I hate
Yeah.
writing lyrics. But it was like always the same ride 10 times a week. It gets me so spent that I don't want to speak about and go on with the lyrics and talk about beautiful things, but this being spent because not just the work but also the commute and the miserable wow, it was it's tough.
I mean, it's criminal. It's just like, this is and it's so angering to know that this is largely by design, so that we don't have time to organize and we don't have time to pursue other things that are outside of just the grind of capital. It just makes me so furious. So
yeah, just to have a class of parasites live off our backs, basically. And sometimes it really makes people very frustrated, and then people are surprised when violence and stuff, and it's like, how dare you, violence and whatever. And it's like, but have you seen how we live?
Yeah.
Are you surprised for real? Are you?
I know, exactly. Especially now with the fact that nobody can actually afford to buy a house anymore, because it's just like, we're struggling so hard just to give all the money to landlords, and we aren't able to build any equity, it's just like, well, we have no future because we can't save anything either, right? So of course we're going to be fucking pissed because we're like killing ourselves to not even have any security whatsoever.
Yeah That's why I like the strategy of the slowdown.
The slowdown?
Yeah, just work less, because you owe them nothing. But sometimes when you're working in more like services where people depend on you to be served, it's like they're human shields for the exploiter, are your customers or the people who are your, and it sucks because you want to slow down, you want to take it easy and not be very spent, but then there's those people who need help, and it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, I feel that too, but it's really difficult. I mean, especially like, I mean, I'm almost done this postdoc and I don't really know what I'm going to do after, but I'm definitely going to take a bit of a break, and then just hope that I have enough money for, to live. I think, I'll be fine for a little bit, but like in academia, it's so ridiculous, like the amount of unpaid work that you're supposed to do, and that if you don't do, you're not going to advance, right? And it's really difficult to be like, oh, I'm just going to work slowly, because then it's like, okay, well then you're not going to get any funding, you're not going to get any, like you're not going to get any jobs. Like everything is so competitive, everything is contract based now. Maybe I think what? Oh, sorry, my partner.
Oh, well, it's cool that he pitches in. Absolutely.
Anyway, well, yeah, what was I saying? I just really was agreeing that, like, I think that's amazing, and I would love to participate in this kind of like slow movement more, but then it's, again, like systemically you're punished so much for it, or you're just kind of like squeezed out to the point that you're not even in it anymore, because you won't get any more contracts or whatever. So anyway,
but that's because it's private, right? The university. I mean, that's the first point of entry of all the evil thing. When a public service like a university is private, then we have a problem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just gotten so much more like neoliberal. But we'll see what I do in the future. But I'm with you on the slowdown as much as possible.
And also the Hugo Chavez strategy, expropiese.
Yeah.
Damn, expropiese so much, I mean, there are some things that are like services, like education, like healthcare, like even banking. What the hell? They shouldn't be private. They shouldn't. They shouldn't be for profit. Like, and the most egregious case is your neighbors in the South, the United States, who have like private prisons. It's like the ultimate privatization bullshit. It's like those services are meant to be a service, not a profitable endeavor. That's why they need to be public, like energy or even like ISPs, internet service providers. They should be public, like owned collectively and being accountable. But hey, here come the conservatives saying, but the state does many things and that's socialism. It's like, I wish it was socialism.
Is good.
Yeah, I wish it was even socialism. That would be awesome. But that's not really too much to ask. It's not. I know. It's a very low bar.
I know. Well, I kind of love when they say stuff like that because it's like, oh, really? So, publicly owned utilities that are accessible to all is socialism. Well, then sign me up. Like, you're just making it look really good. Like.
Yeah, but even you wish it were like actual socialism. Keep pushing. You're on the right path. Come on.
Yeah.
Such dorks. I can't take it. Those people are in so much denial. We're all fucked up. We're all in a lot of denial and in a lot of really, really bad psychological experience all in all, collectively. But right-wingers, that would be a case study for a proper psychologist to go, what makes people go right-wing? It's probably fear, though. I mean, spoiler alert, but...
Yeah, well, depending on their class, right? Like, money makes them go right-wing, and property makes them go right-wing.
Yeah.
Most of all. But then I guess for the people who are actually just workers, and then, I guess all the propaganda from the people with property and money makes them go...
Yeah, and how are they so effective? Well, probably hegemony, but...
Yeah, and just I think also education, like we don't learn critical thinking in our schools. We don't get a political education in school.
So true. We don't have enough media literacy. Yeah, I was about to say the same. Yeah, media literacy is how do you analyze the media, right? How do you give it so much credibility, and even advertising. It was very clever. I want to make, I think it was Peter Coffin who made a show about laughing at ads. And I think that was a good idea, per se. Like picking up an ad and laughing at it and deconstructing it and saying, this is bullshit. And so people know, because I think advertising is a lot of indoctrination into capitalism.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I dismantling that piece I think it's really cool. It's as an idea,
Yeah.
And I was like, I think it was something I was like worried when I was like a teenager or something, trying to choose my career path. Even though I was always a musician, but I knew I couldn't make money, so I had to have a plan B. And I'm going to study advertising so I can work in advertising, but also understand advertising so I can help people defend themselves from advertising. And it didn't go so well.
Yeah. Did you actually go into it or no?
I worked in a few advertising agencies. I think the first one, we had a boss who shouted at us. Like he screamed at us all the time. This is wrong. This sucks. This campaign is awful. I was like one of the creatives in the team. It was a team of 3. It was a small advertising agency. And we used to print like things in the printer and put it like in a piece of fancy cardboard, like this very light one that is filled with foam and with cardboard on the sides, on the top and the bottom. And we glued it with spray glue and stuff and put it like really nice so they could go to the customer and sell the campaign. Very old school. And this guy showed up every time we had a campaign. Let's see, what do we have? This sucks! He threw it to the floor. He threw it on the ground. He threw some very, very awful tantrums all of the time, to the point that at some point I stood up off my chair and say, go ahead, do it yourself. And he turned very red at some point. And he walked to his office that was like at the end of a long hallway as a part of the psychological routine. And 1 week later, I was, quote unquote, transferred to to another office.
Wow.
That's how my career in advertising started, and it didn't go very well. Next boss, I walked out on him.
God damn. It's like Mad Men or something. Like,
yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. I think they had a lot of stimulants, let's say.
Yeah.
those things. But the guy himself, the screamy, shouty guy, he wasn't. I mean, he was really awful at the office. And I remember when we pulled like an all-nighter or something, he used to drive me home because he lived on the way to my place when I used to live here in Barrio El Pilar next to my mom, and he used to drive me, and he was super nice and chill, when we pulled an all-nighter. And years later at a friend's wedding, we were playing, and I was loading like an amplifier or something, and he was in the party, and I overheard him say, this screaming and shouting, it's all an act. You gotta, it's something you gotta do to be the boss. And I was like,
what?
Motherfucker? Yeah. It was all an act. The guy was actually like a nice guy. But
what the
yeah, exactly. I was like,
it's so bizarre. Like, I don't know. It's like, okay. I don't know. I guess it's kind of, it's just hilarious that like that is what he internalized a boss is, and a boss does, and a boss is for, because I'm like, well, I guess, yeah, that is technically like what a boss typically does. It's not effective, and it's bullshit, and we shouldn't have bosses, but that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I knew you'd like this story. It was as you said, bizarre. I think that's the most suiting adjective to it. It was
so bizarre.
It was very strange.
Yeah.
What
it's also like, even just on a practical level, is like, if you want to produce good work, like, how is demoralizing all of your workers gonna contribute to that at all?
Yeah.
And frustrating them and making them feel like shit. Like, how does that help anything or anyone?
I agree so much. I don't know. It's weird. It's just weird stuff. I cannot put a finger on it. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got out of there.
Yeah, definitely. But I never had much success with my bosses. When I was happiest was when I was a freelancer. It was the best because I had customers, and customers, they're polite to you, they're nice, and you can actually have a nice, friendly relationship with customers, and that's really cool. But of course, you have to pay all your taxes and be up to date with everything, all the paperwork and extra stuff. But I think it's worth it because you don't have somebody screaming at you. Maybe it's a bad experience or something, but.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess I'm lucky because, like, in my job, like lecturing and things like that, like, you don't have, like, your boss isn't there watching you, and you don't really get, I guess I've had like a freedom in that sense. But I mean, that just sounds awful. So I'm very, very glad that you are out of that. And hopefully you can get back into like more freelance stuff, because that definitely, I mean, there's like the precarity, I guess, that goes along with freelancing.
Yeah.
That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
But
one of the things that made me migrate was precisely the crisis of 2008 that came to spend like 2010, 11. And it's like customers just stopped paying because they couldn't. And it sucked, the economy contracted so much. It was
right.
So I was like from doing like 3,000 euros average every month to barely being able to pay rent. And that really sucked. That was really difficult. And, there's no security, no safety net or whatever. It was very, very difficult.
Yeah. That's brutal.
Yeah. And now we're in the middle of another one. The COVID-related economic crisis is going to be... it is already tough, but it's going to get worse.
I heard it was already the worst one since 2000, the year 2000.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're not at the peak of it, for sure. So...
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to make do with less. I'm hoping that the Spanish government is gonna really gonna do something about the rent control prices, because Madrid is right now it's over the roof, the prices of living spaces. Otherwise, I don't know, squatting.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more. I mean, there's already a lot of things happening. Just because of late stage capitalism, and it's sad things, it's like elderly people are moving into like little communes or little tiny house villages and things like that to be able to take care of each other and support each other because people can't afford to go into nursing homes. I just think more and more things like this are going to start happening where people are kind of forced to live communally and pool resources and come together just because the conditions are going to get so much worse, what with recessions and automation and the climate crisis. So it's like, it's sad and scary and angering. But I don't know. I think that a lot of, new ways of living are going to emerge out of this particular time. And I don't know. I hope that we can hold each other up through all of this bullshit.
Definitely. I think solidarity is one of the things that can make us, stay afloat. If the wave catches us together is better than if the wave catches us separate.
Oh, yeah.
And the wave is going to come anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think solidarity and mutual aid is like the only way we're going to really survive this stuff. So.
And that's what we're promoting on.
Yeah.
Damn it. We'll get through this one. I'm really sure. Okay, dear. I think I've taken a lot of your time. Are you okay? Are you holding up there? Maybe you want to take a break or just leave it for today and we can talk someday later.
I think it's probably a good amount of time to speak. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I would love to come back again if you ever want to chat again. We didn't really address it. Did anyone say anything in the chat that we needed to address?
No, we were just adding to the conversation. We have really nice people here. We're just great. But if you wanna ask something in particular, people in the chat, now is the time. So I'm just saying. We're talking about business and the bakery that was sold by Del Rio and Del Rio's family and so on. But
that's cool.
It's so good to hang out with you. I was looking forward to this, really.
Yeah, this is really great. This is awesome, Javi. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, and let's do it again in the future.
Yeah, final stretch. I'm gonna make you understand something in Spanish. Mi casa es tu casa. Mi casa es tu casa, querida. Anytime, my dear. This is. You just let me know. Yo, Javi, wanna hang out? And Javi's here to figure it out, and we hang out. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, my dear.
Mi casa y su casa.
Yeah, I mean, if you say su, it's like usted. It's like the formal way. But as we're like on a first name basis, we can say tú. Mi casa es tu casa, querida.
Mi casa es tu casa.
There you go. Okay, so thank you so much for coming on, and it's so good to hang out with you. And anything you need, just let me know. I'm here, okay?
Yeah, right back at you.
Okay, let's stop the show for now. Thank you, everyone in the chat, and you're all fantastic. Every Leftist uncle, they're saying, have a great one. We are here for each other, and that's the whole point. Live long and prosper.